Spilling the Beans Digital Health Podcast is aimed at members of the digital health community globally, with guests from the United Kingdom, Australia and the United States. The podcast is available through all major podcast distributors as well as on YouTube. The show is sponsored by Woodrow Mercer Technology and Woodrow Mercer Digital Health.
Hi everyone, I hope you're well. Welcome to Spill the Beans. My guest this week is Andrew Davies, who is the Digital Health Lead at the Association of British HealthTech Industries, otherwise known as ABHI. Andrew has 30 years experience, or close to 30 years experience in the digital health industry, or the sort of the medical field at least. He's an expert at facilitating relationships, which is exactly what ABHI does. It's a membership platform which enables health tech businesses to collaborate and grow, and it's really interesting to get his views on the kind of pandemic and how I suppose it's impacted the whole industry, and really interesting chat with him. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll let Andrew take it away. Andrew, hi, thank you so much for taking the time this morning to have a bit of a catch up with me and a little bit of a coffee break. I hope you're well. Whereabouts in the world are you right now?
Morning, Duncan. Yeah, I'm in London at the moment. It's not too bad. Bit of grey, bit of sun. Normal London weather, really.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect. And how's the working from home situation for you? Do you have a good setup, or are you?
I'm a bit nomadic. I did have a good setup. Now wife's working from home as well, so and the son's back from university, so you find a spot wherever you can.
Yeah, exactly. You have to make do. Perfect. Yeah. Great. Well, obviously, I know your background quite well, but for those listening, are you able just to kind of run through, I suppose, your profile in a bit more detail and the organisation that you work for, ABHI?
Yeah, sure. So, I work for ABHI, Association of British HealthTech Industries. We're a membership body for manufacturers of health technology equipment. That ranges from large installed equipment, so MRI scanners, robotic surgeries, through diagnostics, implants like pacemakers, digital technologies, and through to sort of fast-moving consumable goods, which we'll probably come on to later, actually. We have about 300 members. 90% of those are SMEs, and the other 10% are large multinational companies.
Yeah, perfect. And you must have seen the digital health industry change quite significantly in recent times. Have there been any kind of developments that you think is leading the direction of the health tech industry and the work that ABHI are doing?
Yeah, digital health really interesting. If you look at the NHS long-term plan, a lot of it is predicated on the system becoming more digitally focused and using digital technologies to help improve the efficiency of the system, the experience of patients, and the outcomes that can be achieved. I think really since Matt Hancock particularly took post as Secretary of State, he's given technology a big push and has really seen it as a key to success. So I think that's a trend that we've seen accelerating, but the recent COVID crisis has really meant that the whole NHS has taken a step change in the way it's adopted technology. So particularly if you look at primary care now, what used to be primarily a walk-in service, you would walk up to your GP practice, now is a click-first service through 111 or a dial-in service.
Yeah, definitely. And do you think that, obviously the COVID situation has put things under a spotlight a little bit and kind of forced the NHS and other organisations to innovate in order to alleviate the pressure of, physical contact? Do you think that, obviously post the COVID pandemic, there will be a bit more of an adoption overall into other sectors other than primary care for this, I suppose the remote side of medicine?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen that during COVID as well. While sort of primary care is perhaps the biggest example and the one we ourselves might all come in contact with, there's been a lot of use of telemonitoring, remote monitoring, virtual clinics those sorts of technologies coming out of the acute sector as well, to try and look after some of those patients that would normally have been going into outpatients appointments, going into the hospitals, where obviously quite often the patients don't want to go in and the staff don't want them in there either. So keep them in the best environment for them while still providing the care. So yeah, across the board, there's been a lot of adoption of technology. And I've got to say, wow, the way the NHS has done it, they have done things in hours and days, what would typically have taken weeks, months, possibly even years to implement and adopt. So really cutting through a lot of bureaucracy and getting things done because of the necessity of the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, hats off to them. They're definitely, I suppose innovation first, right? So they've been able to get some amazing things done. So you mentioned obviously the fast moving consumer goods side of ABHI and the kind of platforms. Can you go into that in a little bit more detail?
Yes, well, I mean, that would be something everybody's aware of who has come into contact with the news on the TV, radio, online, etc. Things like personal protective equipment, gloves and gowns, these sorts of things, which, if you go back, where are we now? Just a few months, people would have thought that as the unsexy end of the sector. It hasn't got bells and whistles, etc. But if you're in the business, that it goes through regulation the same as everything else in the medical technology sector. It's highly regulated equipment, and it's got a lot of research and development into it. But because it's that high volume, fast turnover sort of thing, it doesn't get quite the same attention. Now it is, of course. Everyone realizes the importance of even what might seem the simplest bit of equipment can be really vital in delivering services to patients.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's interesting, the sort of regulations that have come through. And when you mentioned that before, it got me thinking about, it seems that, there's all these things that, whether it's a medical app or whether it's the scrubs that the doctors need in order to sort of, continue providing the care to the patients. These regulations seem to have just kind of not been scrapped, but they've been fast tracked in order to get these, these doctors the equipment that they need, or the patients the access to healthcare that they need. Do you think that there's going to be any kind of backlash post the pandemic in sort of re-reviewing these agreements, or these businesses that have been able to kind of get their platform in agreement with the NHS, but a regulatory process which normally would have taken 6 months, getting that done within 3 days? Is it the same sort of standard of due diligence that's going into the research of these things, and are they going to be re-reviewed afterwards?
Yeah, it must be clear. I mean, the regulations have not been scrapped.
No,
there's always been a mechanism within the regulation to be able to push things through the system where the humanitarian need is great. We're obviously seeing that through COVID. We've seen it before in other sectors, but not particularly in the UK. But things like Ebola and these sorts of things have used the same sort of mechanisms. So a lot of regulatory systems, are based on a risk profile, and the risk of not doing something in these cases was obviously much greater than doing something and pushing things through quickly. I think there are plans. I think what's been stated is that the products that have been introduced specifically to address the COVID situation will be withdrawn from the market once the crisis is over.
Yeah. Obviously it's a good marketing tool for those businesses to be able to use it as a platform to hopefully continue. And the whole industry in general, really, it's a good sort of, I suppose, advert for the innovations that we can have. And, hopefully it does roll out into other sectors like social care and those kind of things where there might be a little bit, less face time than there should be. But, through this technology, hopefully that can, provide these patients with the access that they need. In general, in terms of, obviously trying to leave the pandemic to one side, with ABHI, the organizations that you mentioned, can you go into the specific benefits of being a kind of, a member of ABHI and the kind of access to things that they might get through you guys?
Yeah, sure. We have three broad roles as a trade association. One is to provide our members with information about what's happening within government, the health system, with regulators, etc. So they can do their business planning on the best possible basis with the best possible information. The second really is to take the requirements of the sector and liaise with government, provide input into their policy making, so that when they develop industrial policies or policies within the health environment that impact on the industry side of things, they're done with the best information, so that they are established to really support industry. And the life science sector generally is one of the sort of key sectors for the UK economy, with a really high value added component to it. And the third role really is networking, being able to find partners, networking within the health system, support with export, these sorts of elements. So they're the three broad topics. And again, just we are right in the middle of COVID, but just to use that sort as an example, we have been really pushing out huge amounts of information about what is the situation with COVID, with the testing regimes, with the government support mechanism, make sure our members can really find the information they want very, very quickly. And on the networking side, in COVID, we've now gone broader than we ever have before, supporting our members to form the consortiums with industries outside of our sector. So our sector has the expertise and the experience to develop medical devices. When it came to something like ventilators, they didn't necessarily have the capacity to make the numbers that were required. So it's helping working between industry and government, etc., and outside industry to bring together and help form the right consortium.
Yeah, definitely. Perfect. You mentioned obviously there, that access to information that you do share. If there is anyone, listening to this that does want to have a little bit more information, what's the sort of best way for them to get in contact with you or with someone from ABHI?
Probably the website, www.abhi.org.uk. Go to virtually any page, there'll be contact us, and of course it's on the front page. If you go to the front page right now, again, there's a big notice, COVID resource hub. If you're interested in anything to do with COVID, hope you'll find it useful. This video, I guess, might be on YouTube for a bit longer than the crisis lasts. Let's hope so. The website is always up to date. You can always contact us through that.
Perfect. Well, look, I'll let you get on with the rest of your morning, but it's a very broad subject, so I'm presuming there will be a lot of conversations that derive off the back of this. So potentially people might want to reach out to you. But thank you very, very much for taking the time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak very soon. Thanks, Andrew.
Cheers, Duncan. Bye.
Okay, well, that's it for us this week then, guys. Thanks very much to Andrew for taking the time to, I suppose, give us an insight into what it's like at, one of the sort of overarching bodies of the health tech industry, which is under such a spotlight at the moment. So really interesting to hear from him. If you do have any questions for him, his contact information and the link to the ABHI website is just in the summary. And if you want to get in contact with me and discuss anything, then my contact details are there as well. So I hope you all stay safe, and I'll chat with you soon. Cheers.